Hello everybody, it's Jenny McGarvey here with you today, sharing my Project Life Week 22 with you. As you can see here, I have my trusty old notebook out, the one where I lay out my weeks and that I do by hand. And also you can see that I've pulled out the left side template of my Project Life pages. And I'm sorting through all of the photos that I've already printed on my Canon Selfie. And I'm going to go ahead and start just throwing them down. Now remember, I have that notebook that I've already planned out where things are going to go, so I already actually have a really good idea of what this week is going to sort of look like. I do plan where each of my photos are going to go and then where a journaling card or a filler card. Now you can see in that upper left hand corner there's a finished card. I had put that in last week, and since this was Memorial Day weekend, I had sort of mixed up Sunday and Monday. So anyway, I just pulled that from here, and then I will also add what I believed to be Monday and just swap it out for last week. So anyway, as you can see here, I have a screenshot photo of Maya Angelou and also a newspaper, like a screenshot from the news on Facebook that I want to include. And then also in the lower left-hand corner, something sort of special, a picture within a picture. I'm going to put a small photo on top of that 4x6. The 4x6 is a photo of my son doing some work on the computer, and then the finished product of what he did. Now, as you can see, I'm kind of going through my 3x4 cards. I've decided this week to go with a yellow and an orange color scheme. I'm not exactly sure why, to be perfectly honest with you. I just was sort of feeling orange and yellow, and it felt sort of summery to me. So I'm going ahead and picking out some 3x4 cards for this side of the spread to go with that. Now I've chosen a couple of different ones, and I still need one more to back that news photo. So I'm still looking through my stash for that, which it's not always easy to find different cards that fit your needs, plus match with the other cards that you've selected. So luckily I do have my cards organized by color. So I just pulled out one that is yellow around the edges, and then in red at the top it says story. So that'll go ahead perfectly actually with a little bit of a news story. Now as you can see here, I'm ready to sort of get down to work on this side of the spread. I just need to adhere things and embellish and put titles and dates and things of that nature on here, but so far it's pretty good. Now I'm going to start with that top right hand photo. It's sort of a crazy photo in general. It's not really actually the best photo in the entire world, but that's where I picked my son up every day after school, and so I knew that I would be really happy that I had that photo somewhere down the line. So I'm not really that worried about that it's not the greatest photo. I'm going to just embellish it, and also in kind of a crazy way, just to keep the flow of the photo, which is just sort of crazy, I guess, for lack of a better word. Anyway, I have a bunch of those Snap Simple Stories stickers. They come on those 6x8 sheets, I guess they are. This is the word happy in a really fun script, but as soon as I put it down, I realized I have the top part of the H hanging off, and I'll go ahead and pull that up and try to fix it. Had I not been able to fix it, I wouldn't have really cared. I probably just would have cut the top of the H off. I'm not really that particularly concerned with perfection. However, it came off pretty easily, so I didn't really worry about it. I just pulled it right back up. Now, like I said, I really wanted this card to be sort of not perfect, definitely, and a little bit crazy and a little bit wonky. And so I sort of just stuck stuff down because it's really sort of the nature of the photo, like my son running out of school, and he's kind of a hot mess after school, so it's no big deal. I'm just adding a little bit of journaling on top of those Simple Stories label sticker, and it's really pretty much perfect. And I love the bright yellow happy on that photo. The contrast is crazy awesome. Now I'm adding another label sticker with just a little bit more, and that's really fun. And I like these label stickers because they're easy to write on. They're not slick. They're just very good paper to write on, so my regular old pen works just fine. Now that I've added the date and that tiniest bit of journaling, that card is pretty much good. I don't really need anything else. It's all set and ready to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that 3x4 card with the news story on it and adhere it down, and then add a small label sticker and then the tiniest bit of journaling on top of it. It's actually oddly enough, about a story about an arson at a dry cleaner's and how a bunch of my husband's clothes were lost. So I thought that'd be something we'd be interested in knowing about a few years down the road. And then also adhering Maya Angelou's photo and the quote down onto that 3x4 card as well. I wanted to notate that Miss Angelou had passed this week, as it was really quite a big deal on social media and will be something that I feel, is important and will be pertinent to our project life. Now I wrote her name at the top, and then at the bottom I will also write the date that she died, since it's particularly interesting and pertinent, like I said, to this particular week. So now that I've added that, I really love that striped card. It really works wonderful, and I love how it sort of breaks up all of the orange from the left card and then all of the white from the right card. I really like how that all worked out just fine, and it looks super cute next to that pool photo, so the blue and the orange really go well together. Now, as you can see, I still need to add something to that pool card that I just referenced. It's super cute and I love it, but I wanted to just add a little bit of something to it, not leaving it quite so plain, which would have been fine because I do end up embellishing the bottom two cards as well, so having one plain card really wouldn't have been that big of a deal. However, I just couldn't resist adding the tiniest bit, just a label sticker and then a little Evalicious camera sticker at the top of that pool photo. Now I'm going to go ahead and start pulling out some different things, but first I'm going to mat that smaller photo, sort of the photo within a photo, and trim off the excess. And then it helps that photo pop right off the back of that photo of my son working at the computer. And I'll go ahead and just adhere it right down. I'm so happy with the way that this kind of turned out. It's perfect and an awesome way to tell the story. Now I'm going to add one of those puffy arrows from Evalicious. It's on the same sheet as that camera from above. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull out some alphabet stickers from my stash, which I'm sort of depleting most of my stash of alphabet stickers, which isn't a bad thing. I love using them all up. And I'm going to go ahead and just describe the photos with those alphabet stickers. So I'll spell out the word edits, which is what my son is doing, a bunch of sports edits on the computer using Photoshop. Trying to get these pretty straight. I mean, I'm not particularly concerned if they're perfect, but I do like them to be somewhat straight. So after I've got those all finished, the card looks, it just looks really good. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. And that bottom right-hand photo is going to end up being a little bit more of a concern for me. I'm not exactly sure how to handle it. I knew that I wanted to do something else and I wanted to add journaling to it, but by the same token, I'm not entirely sure that leaving it as a 4x6 was the way to go either. So I do go ahead and trim it up and just keep the bulk of the photo and the rest of it trimmed off, and then I will use a 3x4 grid card, and I will adhere a smaller Studio Calico die cut to it. It's a speech bubble with some journaling lines, which turns out great. I can add my entire story. I do have to use a slick writer on this one because it does have a slick surface, so I'll just use the fine point slick writer on here. Again, as I've said in previous videos, ordinarily I use a fine tip Sharpie, but I had this. It was the first thing I pulled out of the jar, so this worked out just fine too. I like the slick writers just as well as anything else, as long as it's a fine tip. The thicker tip, I just can't get as much journaling on the card. So now that I've added that, I really feel like the bottom of that card needs something else as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull out an Elise Blaha Cripe stamp after I get everything down on the card, the date included, which is often something that I have to go back and add because I need to get on my phone and look up what the specific date was. So now I'll go ahead and use my StazOn, since this card is slippery, and add that little stamp. It's so cute and I love it, and sometimes I forget to use it because it's stuck in my Project Life cart, but I really do love using it, so I'm so happy that I remembered that I had it. Now, it does still need a little bit of journaling, and those two cards will go next to each other inside of the pocket, but I want to dress it up just a little bit more. Now, in the journaling, I do note that this is at the baseball field, and it's really about my younger son hanging out while my younger son is playing. So I will add a little bit of embellishment that's related to baseball, so I'll use a little orange star. I'm not exactly sure, that might be Pink Fresh or it might be Freckled Fawn. I don't remember. Um, so that's pretty good there. And then I still want to add just a little bit more. I'm not sure what exactly. So I'm kind of going through my stickers, through those snap stickers, and then I'll also go through some of the other embellishments that I have, looking for something else to add to that particular card. I rarely go into these spreads knowing how I'm going to embellish anything. I may know the placement, as I've said before, but I don't usually know how I'm going to finish the cards. So here I just pulled a label sticker out of my stash, not from those Simple Stories, and I'm going to go ahead and trim it up and put my journaling right on top of there. Now, I'm using an adhesive eraser on those. A lot of those are the print and cut ones from Studio Calico using my Silhouette Cameo. And when I pull those off, they have a sticky back on the back from the adhesive. And so then I need to erase that off of there. And the adhesive eraser, works perfectly for that. Now I'm going to scatter a couple of the wood veneer stars, pretty standard for me, and use my tape runner to just go ahead and adhere those down. Usually I stick to 3 stars, and sometimes I'll add another 2 for 5, but here I've just stuck with 3 and scattered them right around my label sticker. Now, as you can see, that side of the spread is complete. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside, and then I'll get out the other template for the right side and I will get to work on that. Now remember, I already have this drawn out in my notebook, and I will just place the photos where I have them notated. I do like to vary the size of my photos. I don't always use 4x6 or 3x4. I do like to sometimes chop them up a little bit, and like in that upper left hand corner, I'm just used a 4x6 for my selfie, but I printed out 3 of those photos on there. There was a 4th one as well, and I'm saving that for next week, something that I've already printed out from this week. I just love varying the sizes of the photos. I think that keeps each week a little bit different and a little bit unique. I could definitely just go with the page, the A style page protectors, and it would be no big deal, and every week would definitely be different. But this way, it just keeps me interested and keeps me thinking of different ways to keep it simple, yet keep it really awesome. And as I said before, I do like to keep Project Life simple for me, since I do still create a lot of 12 by 12 pages. Really heavily embellishing Project Life isn't something that I'm going to do, because that would take away a lot from the standard scrapbooking that I still do. So a simple Project Life works out perfectly for me, and I have been so happy with the results. So I will keep on doing that, and I know my kids love looking at it also. Now I'm going to keep on looking through my cards. As you can see, I've pulled out some 4x6 cards as well, through the yellow and the orange, looking for not only a filler card, but then also the 3x4 cards as well. And as you can see, I sort of struggle going back and forth, finding the different shades of yellow and orange that will go well together. I ultimately settled on that ampersand, which is pretty funny, since I think I end up using 3 or 4 on this spread. As you can see, I'm going to throw down a 3x4 ampersand, which is pretty funny, and then I pull out another one that I swap with the other side, the other left side of the spread that I had already showed you. Now that's definitely the hard part from shopping from your stash, is finding cards that go together, the tones of the colors that go together. So sometimes you might pick out a really great yellow card, but in this instance it doesn't go with the orange, so you have to sort of swap those out. And that's been definitely the challenge in working with the cards that you already have. But luckily it worked out just fine. Now, as you can see, there is that arson card that I had done already, and I swapped the other filler card and put it back on the left side. And you can see that at the very end when I photograph the layout and show that to you. Now I'm trimming up those photos just a tiny bit more so I can get them all to fit nicely on that 4x6 card. It has a polka dot strip along the top and along the bottom, and I just wanted those all to fit really nicely together on there without being overcrowded. So I just go ahead and trim them ever so slightly and they work perfectly. Now this 4x6 card is a photo of my husband and my middle son who went to the St. Louis Cardinals and New York Yankees baseball game, and they had a great time and it was a really special treat for them. So I wanted to definitely commemorate that with a few different photos on this particular card. So like the other cards, I wanted to use some of those label stickers. I was really happy with the colors and how bright they were, and then not only that, but the variety of shapes and items that you get within these. So I used those and I pulled again a few off. Now it's kind of like that other card from the last day of school with my son. I tried not to keep it too, I don't know, standard or whatever. So I added a few different things stacked up on top of each other. Although this one is definitely not as haphazard as the other at the last day of school card. Now, as you can see, I did add the tiniest bit of journaling and also the date on here, but I needed just the tiniest bit of whimsy as well because it was pretty standard and pretty straightforward and not particularly fun. So I just added a little arrow and it added a little element of something different. Now, as you can see, the page is really coming together since I start out with this pretty solid base with the photos and the cards, and then I just need to embellish a little bit. Now, on the bottom, that photo, I'm going to add a larger label from the cut and print, and so you will again see that I use that adhesive eraser. This one is from EK Success, and I really like the way that it works. It pulls things up nicely, and you don't have any gumminess or anything like that. Now that label is perfect because it's really nice and big, and so I can get a lot written on there, which is perfect because I had quite a bit that I wanted to say about this particular photo. Not too much that I needed an entire card or anything like that, but enough that I could write a sentence or so about this particular photo. Now, as you can see, I used my date stamp and I also stamped the date right on top of that. And I did use my VersaFine this time because I had printed this on paper that was not slick. So it was perfect. And I'm just using my Sharpie pen, no need for a slick writer or a permanent marker. Now I'm going to adhere that smaller photo right on top of that 3x4 card, and it turned out awesome because I really have been liking that card that says See Photo. But it's hard to come up with a use for all of these different journaling cards and stuff, so this worked out great. Now I still do need to add a little something else to this card, even though I put my tiny bit of journaling and the photo on there. It needs a little bit of embellishing. So I pulled out a arrow paper clip from my stash. I still have a large amount of these. I bought them quite some time ago, but they just keep on giving. So anyway, that little arrow paper clip is sort of the perfect embellishment without going too crazy. Now that top right-hand photo is starting out to be the slightest bit of a challenge because I know that I want to write directly on top of it, but I'm not exactly sure how. So I just sort of leave it and I'll come back to it. Now I'm adding a gold label on top of that ampersand 4x6 card. Now the gold is not something I've used in this kit at all yet, but I felt like it really went with the gold and the yellow and the orange, excuse me. So I'm just using that as my date card and writing the date right on top of that label sticker. I could have definitely used the typewriter or a date stamp or something like that, but I figured why not just go ahead and write it on there and get it over with and not worry too much about it. Now again, you'll see I have a little sprinkling of the stars. I'm just using my tape runner, adhering those down, and then it's complete. Very simple, kept it very, very, no frills or anything like that, but that's exactly what I wanted to do for this particular page. Now I'm going through those scripty stickers from the Simple Stories and looking for one that would work out well for that ping pong sticker, and luckily I am able to find one that I think that will work in theme. So I'm just sort of getting it straightened out and the little centers pulled out. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick that right on down, right on top of the photo. Now, as you can see, I did use the sticker that says hello, and I'm going to pull out a set of white Studio Calico alphabet stickers, like the very small ones that come on a 4x6 sheet, and spell out ping pong underneath. And I think that turned out really fun and pretty festive for this particular photo, which is just a fun photo of my sons playing ping pong, which on that particular day we had bought them a new ping pong table, which they have, by the way, not stopped playing with. So if you need any suggestions, may I suggest a ping pong table? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at my project life, and I really appreciate you stopping by and watching. I hope you like my process, and I will see you back here in the future. Thank you so much.